Welcome back to the Growth Catalyst Hub. In our channel, we look at how to upgrade your skills, how to turbocharge your growth. In today's episode, we are going to look at one of the most important skills, presentation skills. It's one thing which is vexing for most of the managers. And when you have a presentation, I've seen people who lose their sleep and go through very, very many sleepless nights. Are you one of them? Are you having those sleepless nights, troubled thinking when you have this looming presentation in front of you? You don't have to worry about it. I'm going to walk you through a structured way to look at how to present and how to present like a pro so that people are going to fall in love with your presentation. Let's jump right in. Great presentation is all about having a great structure. A lot of presentations, a lot of TED Talks, if you watch them, or corporate presentations for that matter, have a great structure so that it enables a presenter to move from one idea, one point to another fluidly, beautifully. That's all that it takes to start with. So if you can think of your content, if you can think of your presentation in terms of opening, what I need to open with so that people stay with me, what kind of hooks I need to think about, in the opening, in the first sentence, in the first 5 seconds, so that you stay with me all through this video, you stay with me all through my presentation, you stay with me all through my slides. If you can think about that opening, great opening, then you are halfway through winning the presentation. Then comes the second part, which is all about the body of the presentation. 3 points is great, 5 points is a stretch. Beyond that, anything is very, very difficult in a presentation. So think about how you want to carve out your sections of the presentation and how you want to move in terms of point one, point two, point three, maybe point four, maybe point five, but don't go beyond that. So structure the body of the presentation, what you want to really say into 3 points, 3 sections, and move gracefully between one section to another. You can always call out, oh, next slide, and so on, or you can build in all the transitions in the presentation, which is a better manner, so that when you move from connected points, point one, how it logically connects to point two, how it logically connects to point three, all of this will beautifully take the people along with your presentation. They will remember the presentation, they will remember the points that you're making, so that it is easy for them to move along with your thought process. And the third part, simple, it's summary. You are opening with what you're going to say, you say, and you are going to close with what you've just said. And the summary is where you are going to leave the audience with two things. One, what you just said. What are the key points that you summarized? You will say that. And second, you are going to reiterate, re-emphasize what is it that you want them to do because they have listened to this presentation. What is it that you want them to do? Do you want them to take a call on the project? Do you want to take a call on this advertising, which you are deciding on? Do you want them to take a call on what to do on the promotion of a set of people that you are talking about? What is it that you want to do in terms of this specific steps within the project and say yes? Why is this presentation important? What are the conclusions basis this presentation should be very clear at the end of the presentation. So you open with a hook, you look at your body in terms of 3 to 5 points and structure the slides accordingly. And obviously, transition slides are also factored in. And finally, you are going to leave your audience with the thought process of, yes, this is what I said, and this is what I want you to do because of what we discussed. When you do this, the presentation is clear. You don't have to sweat too much because the presentation is clear in your mind, and the audience will also not sweat and therefore will love you because it is easy for them to follow through the presentation. So, what do I want to do as a result of this first step? Practice this presentation. No amount of you listening to this video or any other video for the matter is going to improve your presentation skills unless you start practicing what people ask you to do. In this video, if you have listened so far, what is important is practicing. Take some old presentation of yours, look at it. How will you structure it? What will you treat as a hook? What will get the audience in? What will be the body? If you were to rearrange the slides, reorganize a presentation into 3 points, what will be the point number one? How will the point number one will become transition into point number two? What will these 2 points build on to point number three? Build that story in your mind, bring that structure out in the presentation, and then get on to summarizing the presentation on what is it that you want people to do. There could be cases where you are getting into a long presentation. It could be a finding presentation. It could be a research project that you are presenting the findings on. That's going to be a little tough, but the same structure applies. But you need to practice. Take some presentation, look at what you need to do, rewind in your mind, practice it actually. Only then you are going to benefit from this step number one, which is basic structuring of your presentation. Second step is keeping the audience engaged. How do you do that? How do you ensure that the audience is not bored? Many times, it's how you present which makes a difference. You have great content, but you can make the presentation in a very boring manner. What I want to say is this. The findings are suggesting that we have to cut the budget by 20%, but when we cut the budget by 10%, what will happen? You can go on a monologue like that, or you can inject emotion in what you are talking about. When you talk about passionately, when you talk in an emotional manner, when you talk and inject tonality into what you're talking about, then people sit up. Because you don't talk in a monotone when you discuss with your friend. There are tonalities, there are emotions which are playing, and that is what makes a conversation very interesting. The same technique people forget when they come to presentation. They get into this monologue, monotone, and gets very boring. And a lot of professors do this monotone so that the students go to sleep in their colleges. And great professors understand this. Great professors bring in drama. Great professors bring in a lot of life into the presentation. That's the difference between a dull presentation and a great presentation is how it is presented. So remember that what you need to do is make it passionate, make it interesting the way you present. That's the overall theme of how to engage the audience. But within that, to make it interesting, you may want to tell a story. You may have a lot of statistics. Nothing makes the presentation interesting as a story. When you start with a story, when you start with an anecdote, it may be research findings, maybe budget cuts, whatever that you are going to talk about, make it interesting, bring some personal anecdotes, bring some experience, bring something interesting to talk about why that is happening, why you are doing what you are doing, why this project has to be done, why the research finding is interesting and useful. Bring a story, talk about that, and then weave the statistic into the story. When you do that, then you start with the story. When you have that emotion, then the presentation becomes very interesting. Then the presentation becomes very passionate. Then people sit up because they are going to be engaged. What are the other ways of making it interesting? Suppose you have a lot of information. Suppose it is a research presentation. Suppose you have done a small project on how things can be done better in your company and you are presenting 5 ways of making things different. Now, you can show this is number one, number two, number three, number four, number five. And that's one way, maybe boring way. The other way is to ask them questions on what is wrong currently. What all the thing do they think going wrong in the company? And then that brings them closer to what you are already having in terms of structure of the presentation, then unveil one after the other. So engage the audience. One way of engaging the audience is to tell story. Another way of engaging the audience is to ask them questions, which are the answers for which are already embedded in your presentation. Ask them, so what do you think is going wrong? What do you think the consumers are doing? What do you think we should be doing as next 3 steps and why? And then you unveil your presentation in terms of these are the next 3 steps that I think we should be doing. When you engage with the audience by asking questions, they're already thinking the way you want them to think and they're ready to do what you want them to do. Third thing great presenters do is to use visual aids. I love Steve Jobs' presentation simply because he uses visual aids beautifully.
Well, as you know, Apple makes the best notebooks on the planet. The MacBook and the MacBook Pro. These are the standards in the industry by which competitive products are judged. Well, today, we're introducing a third kind of notebook. It's called the MacBook Air.
His presentations are not text-driven. His presentations are simple, one line in the whole slide, and then a lot of visuals and stories about the visuals. That's the way to captivate the audience. And I'll show one example here where Steve Jobs goes onto stage and unveils a great product from Apple.
We're talking thin here. So, it's so thin It even fits inside one of these envelopes that we've all seen floating around the office. And so let me go ahead and show it to you now. This is it. Let me take it out here. This is the new MacBook Air.
All of you must watch to look at what great presentations look like. All TED Talks, great talks, and some of them stand out because of simple visuals, simple aids. So you may also want to think about what kind of graphs I can use, what kind of visuals I can use, what kind of video clips I can use to pep up the presentation. It should not be some interesting story which is unconnected with your presentation. Obviously, that is not going to help you. But what will help you is to think about what are the aids that we can inject into the presentation, which will make it interesting, which will make it engaging for the audience, so that it adds to the story, adds to the presentation, and makes it memorable for the audience to carry back. This is what you want them to do. Third step, and the dreaded step for most presenters, is a question and answer session.
I'm Molly Wood from CNET. I have a question actually about market share, which is sort of what we're getting at. There has been a suggestion that because of pricing and design, Apple tends to appeal to kind of a smaller elite rather than that sort of mass customer base. And so I guess once and for all, is it your goal to overtake the PC in market share?
Many presentations, especially in corporate setup, end with question and answers. And people ask questions basis the presentation. Sometimes even outside the presentation, they keep asking questions. You cannot avoid that. And therefore, a lot of preparation is required, not only for the presentation, but also to handle the Q&A session. What are the things that you should do? You should stay calm. It's very important to stay calm during the question answer session. Sometimes the questions look rude. They look rude, but when you look beyond that rudeness, you may see that, they're all very pertinent questions, important questions. Maybe the way they were asking is not really what you like. But whatever it is, you need to stay calm. That calmness, that relaxed mindset helps you to think through the questions. Two, even before you come to that stage, you should have prepared and you should have anticipated a lot of these questions. If it's a project that you're talking about, there are going to be questions on how did your project do what's done, what were the ingredients of the project, who all were part of the project, how was it done, what was the budget for the project, when it was started, when it was ended, and what was the methodology adopted, and so on and so on and so on. And all of these are to be anticipated. I mean, there's nothing hot and fast about any of this. A lot of questions people want to ask because they want to understand the background. A lot of the questions people want to ask because they want to understand how something was done, and therefore the findings are being presented. So you should be in a position to anticipate almost 90-95% of the questions which are going to come, and you should be preparing for that. When you are prepared like that, you can handle any situation, any questions. However, when somebody is asking a question, even before answering that, please clarify that question. One of the simplest techniques is rephrasing the question, re-saying the question, and saying that I'm going to tell you back what I have understood from your question. Please tell me whether it is right. And you say it back. It does two things to you. One, it tells the audience that you are actively listening to what they are asking and you got the question right. In case you have got the question wrong, it gives the opportunity to the audience to correct that question. Second, it also gives you time to think in the back of your mind as to what the answer should be. You are buying time, but being extremely right about it. So this is, let me repeat that question. This is what I have understood. Tell me if I'm wrong and tell me if I've got it right. Okay. And you repeat the question and the audience now will react, and you are repeating the question and the audience reaction both together gives you time. Even otherwise, you can absolutely say that, give me a minute, there's a great question, I'm going to think about it.
A few more, yeah.
What's the most important thing that you personally learned at Apple that you're doing it next?
Good question.
and then think about the question before you answering. Just because somebody is asking a question doesn't mean that you should rush into answering it. You should think about it, clarify the question, answer it properly so that the audience goes away feeling, yes, this is the right answer. Those are the three stages of the presentation. One, preparing the presentation, being ready, and when you present, breaking it to three parts: opening, the body, and saying what you have said throughout the presentation. And then engaging the audience in terms of how you walk them through your presentation, through the stories, through visual aids, through personal anecdotes, through engaging questions, so that the entire audience during the entire duration of the presentation stays present, stays there in engaging with the presentation, engaging with your ideas, engaging with your points that you are making. And finally, when you handle the question and answer session, Q&A session as it is called, you stay calm, you repeat the question if you need to so that you get clarity. And after you are very, very clear about the question, you answer the question. But all of this starts with great preparation that you make, anticipating lots of these questions. As a result of listening to this video, watching this video, what I want you to do, I want to spend some time looking at how you would redo your presentation if you were to start over today. Go back to some of your presentation, look at what you need to do. Go back to some of your presentation and look at what visual aids you will bring in, how you will restructure this, what personal anecdotes I would inject in. And if you've got a presentation coming up tomorrow, think about it in terms of what you will do as action steps. If you're interested, I ran a course called the Soft Skill Bundle. I've given the link in the description below. If you're interested, you can go take a look at it. There are 13 key soft skills that I talk about. You can enroll into the course. All of these soft skills will ensure that you go very, very fast above that corporate ladder. And one of the key soft skills is presentation skills. And it is a 1 hour presentation. Each of the skill is elaborately dealt with in terms of 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. And for each of the skills, there are ample practice sessions given, ample exercises given. And coming back, even otherwise, there is a set of exercise which is given in the description link. Please download it. It's completely free. Use it, practice it, become better, become a great presenter. See you in our next video.